What's the biggest thing that you've learned about yourself through your marriage so far?
I think I had this expectation of myself. Oh, I can be a perfect wife, and I can't. And it's through those difficult times that I see myself stretched, and I see opportunity as you're trying to become more holy and walk more with Christ. There is more opportunity for sin. I think He gives us a practice field and says, "Okay, are you going to depend on me or are you not?" And I have had that opportunity a lot to depend on myself and have taken it. But yet He's been gracious to teach me through that and for me to see the places in me and not just be pointing a finger at the places in Him that I'm selfish. And I'm a people pleaser. I want people to be happy with me and to admire me, and all of that, just that sin just flows out, and sometimes it comes out in manipulative ways with Him.
I never really knew how selfish I was until I got married. I never really knew how much I could really focus on what I wanted and how I wanted it. How much I cover up my flaws, and how much I, to use the biblical image of Adam and Eve covering themselves after they've sinned, how much I do that, how I'll lie about something that doesn't even matter, but it just makes it easier. It won't even, it doesn't affect her in any way, but will lie about it so I don't have to deal with her or deal with that. And then just 5 minutes later go, what was that? So I would say that for me, that's been what I've learned about me is, man, I need Jesus. And
Marriage really is that mirror, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It really is designed to not allow you to escape or hide from who you really are. What have you seen as the biggest way that marriage has impacted your relationship with God?
I know Jen knows when I'm not walking with Christ, it affects our relationship. And usually the first indication to me that my walk with Christ is off or something's wrong is when there's something going on with us. And it's usually like that's the first barometer, like that's the first little thing. I never listen, but if I would, that would be the first kind of, okay, if something's wrong here, there's probably something wrong there. God has also really taught me about His grace through marriage. And Jen has been used by the Father to really give me a tangible understanding of love and grace and acceptance and correction and discipline with kindness and love. And that's the next horizon for me, I think, where God's really going to continue to take me, is asking me to open up more and more and show more of who I am, both in the good and the bad, mostly the bad because there's more of that there, but and just allow Jen to sort of be a representation of this is how I love you. This is how I love you, and this is how you can open up to me and let me be God to you.
And in that way, you get a real taste of God's love through
Mm-hmm.
Jen's acceptance.
Yeah.
Jen, how would you say your marriage has impacted your relationship?
I think the last couple of years have probably been the hardest, definitely been the hardest we've had in marriage. And I would not trade those hard times at all. And there were times that, circumstantially, I just think, I can't do this, or I just feel like I'm reliving this over and over again. I just think of times when I just was empty of myself and I went to Him in desperation, and there was no circumstantial change, but there was great joy that grew as I was in His Word, as I am in prayer with Him, how it just has filled me up in ways that Greg never could, that I never could.
What's the biggest way then that you've seen each other grow? as a man and a woman since you've been married, as a husband and wife? What's the biggest way you've seen each other grow?
I've definitely seen grace grow in Greg, and that may be very surprising to people when they hear him teach. But he's one of the most grace-giving, forgiving people I know. I know he's not going anywhere, and he bears with me and loves me in special ways, and so I've really seen him grow in that, and gentleness too. Very gentle to me.
Makes me want to come over there and give you a hug.
Well, let's not go too far. It's funny she would say that, because I would say the opposite, is that I've really watched her become more assertive and stern, I guess would be the word. If to use the parallel of me, when we met, I was not very forgiving and gracious and kind, and she was too gracious, forgiving, and kind, and she's has talked about being a people pleaser and would really sometimes get run over, but have really watched her now to where she'll stand up and say, "You're wrong in this," and
she can't really love you unless she's willing to do that.
Exactly, and it's not just with me; it's with other people as well. And I think that's the same thing with me. But I would say that's the main thing that I've really seen in her is a growth in that ability to confront kindly and justly and humbly, but also righteously, and say, this is where you're outside of what God calls us to or commands us to, and I'm not better than you, but at the same time, it's not okay.
Is there anything else, as we're kind of closing out our conversation here, that you'd like us to know about your marriage?
We laugh a lot.
We do laugh a lot. She's a good cook.
Bless you.
No, I think we're like everybody else. I watch too much sports. She talks on the phone too much. So just like anybody else, I guess.
Yeah.